Hi, friends. Happy Monday. Well, I hope you're having a happy Monday. Those can be the hardest day unless you're retired. Um, I am going to play with the Floral Delight again from the mini catalog. And in case you need a reminder, um, it is from page 33 through to page 37. There's just tons of ideas, so lots of examples for you to look at, and just really pretty ways for you to play with it. You can also look through and get some ideas, and this is where I got some of my ideas, at least how to stamp on these using these two-step florals. Okay, so as you recall, on Friday, I did my scrapbooking and scripture workshop, and I put together this layout with this one as an example. Just you can see the 2-page layout plan. And I did watercoloring with these really beautiful florals. I'm using the Delightful Wishes dies, but also the bundle, actually, the stamp set as well. So today I'm going to show you from really simple stamping all the way over to AVID. Well, these ones I'm not going to show you because it's pretty much the same thing I showed you on Friday. So you can go through that video to learn how to do the watercoloring. But you can see you can get really beautiful cards, even something simple, because I think this is just lovely. It doesn't have to be covered in layers and layers. You can have some really beautiful cards that are just some light color on white. And this is adding another layer. And then this one is, of course, adding lots of layers, more embellishments, and a die cut sentiment. So let's go through those. And this is the stamp set. These are the dies. Let me just show you. So we have here, these are the dies that create the 3D that I made last week. And I showed you the watercoloring for both of these florals, but I hadn't put them together with a card. And then these cut out the stamped flowers, okay? And but today I'm just gonna do some simple stamping on a cardstock, and then we're going to use this die here. Now, one of the things I want to show you is I did use this die, which creates a really fun, if you look here, hey Linda, it makes a really beautiful little eyelet pattern. And so I did it twice on the vellum, and you can see that this is the same vellum for the most part, but I changed it so that it was landscape instead of portrait. So you can see that that die just makes a really fun eyelet pattern. And then I have my 3D flowers that I've created. Let me just take this out so you can see. And then one of the things that I added is I used some of the textured notes dies to get this really beautiful pattern around my card. So you can see how 3D it is. It just pops right up. And yeah, this will take a covering and some extra postage because of the little bees. I love the bees, but they're probably not male friendly. And then we have this one here, just another one that's so pretty. This one has a ribbon, which is a little bit extra. But on both of these, I'm using the word wishing. This one, I added an extra layer in the petal pink cardstock. But so pretty. So this is all done with watercoloring. And I showed that on Friday with my scrapbooking and scripture, because these are the same flowers that I used in this scrapbook page. So the same flowers just done on a card instead. So, okay, so we're going to use some more of the nature, let's see, what's it called? It's textured notes. And as you can see from these dies, they have such great patterns to them. Just really, really pretty. And so we're going to use those today on the card that we're going to be putting together. Okay. And I'm using the gingham check that comes in this vellum. I only have a very small couple of little pieces left. And so we'll play with that. Okay. All right, so for the first card, it's just a really simple stamp on white cardstock. Let me just take my parts and pieces out. There we go. Okay. So we're going to make this card, but we may just add a little bit to it. Okay, so this is, so I am using these stamps here, which these four, and then this right here, along with happy birthday or lots of love, whichever one. So let's do lots of love. I seem to be sending out lots of get well soon cards. So when it comes to these two stamps, which are two-step stamping, so in other words, it's this one adds the detail, this one is like the flower background. So let me just show you how that works. So the best way to do it is to start with your detail floral, because I think the detail floral gives it a little bit more, makes it easier for you to follow. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to put my detail floral here, and it doesn't look like much, but then I have to use a little Stampin' Off here. Then I'm going to use my color again, or you can use a coordinating color, and now I can see where my flowers need to go. So it takes a little bit of practice, so be sure to practice on a scrap. I had to throw away one of my die cut pieces because I thought I knew what I was doing, but I did not. Okay, so that's the petal pink. Then I'm going to use Lost Lagoon for the stem. And again, you kind of have to figure out where it's going to go. So it kind of goes in between all the flowers. And I got it right. Very good. And then there's some little leaves. Okay, and so like two little leaves together, those are at the top. And then it just kind of goes in between all the flowers. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing here. So it took me 4 different stamping to get all this prettiness, but not that hard once you're starting to get the hang of it. Okay, so now we're going to add a sentiment. We'll add lots of love. And then I'm just going to tear off a little bit off the bottom, not much. I cased this off of a couple other demonstrators. I found 3 others that had done something similar. But instead of just leaving it like that, I'm going to layer it on this really pretty cardstock that has this really pretty border. So you can see what I'm talking about. Isn't that pretty? Just add a little something. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this. And I'm going to pop it up so that it emphasizes the pretty cardstock underneath. Let me see if I gave myself enough room to put a ribbon. So this is the scalloped ribbon that was part of the, trying to remember, goodness. Sorry, I'm having brain melt right now. The Storybook Moments. So it was part of the Suite Collection for the Storybook Moments. And that's page 24 of the January to April mini catalog. So just as a reminder, many of these things are going to be going away. So you want to make sure you get the DSP you want. So let me just tell you about how much ribbon I'm cutting here. So this is about 11 inches. And then I'm just going to tie a little knot. I'm not going to do a bow. And then I'm just going to trim it back a little bit. And then I can bring it down a little closer to the sentiment. Okay. Now we'll just put this on a card. And we'll just, let me get this out of the way so I don't make a mess. We'll glue the back. And put it on. Just adding one element or two elements to an already really beautiful card just takes it to that next level, doesn't it? It's really pretty. And you can add embellishments if you want, but I just don't feel like it needs it. I think it's really beautiful like it is, just with the ribbon. So I'm really happy with that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make, so this card I'm not going to do, but it just had the pool party gingham that came from the suite. So this is the floral gingham vellum 12 by 12. And this is my last large size. So I'm not going to, that's why I'm not going to do this card again. But looking at both of these, which one would you say is the prettier? I mean, I really love pool party, so that's why it makes me happy. But I think this is really elegant and very simple. So just a really beautiful card. Okay, so this time I want to do this one landscape. So we have these different layers, and I'm just going to bring it up close so that you can see. These were all die cut. These two white pieces, the basic white, was die cut with the next to the largest right here, and then this one smaller, so that they nested in each other. And then I have a little piece of pool party that goes in between. But before I put this together, I want to stamp it. But again, I want to kind of recreate at least like a horizontal look for these little flowers. Okay, so we're going to, instead of doing it portrait, we're going to do it landscape. Okay, so starting again with my petal pink. I'm going to do my detail. And I'm going to kind of angle it so I have a place to put my sentiment. Okay, so I'm doing that one full strength. Then I'm coming back and stamping it off. And then I can come back and line it up. Now, one of the things that helps is if you keep your stamps in the same location on both blocks. What I mean is, if I was to overlap these they line up. See, my blocks are in the same place. So that helps me make sure that I stamp them in the right location. Okay, so next will be the Lost Lagoon, and that will be for the stem. And I know my stem is here somewhere. There it is. So I know that it needs to line up with this little bud, and then it needs to go between my other flowers. Okay. All right. And then I need to stamp my sentiment on this. Now, this sentiment from the Delightful Wishes says, "You a happy birthday." I'm not using the word wishing, so I'm only stamping happy birthday. And so I'm putting it off to the side and only stamping happy birthday. And then I'll stamp it on here, and then we'll die cut it out using this die here. I want to make sure that it's level. It's such a tiny die. You'd make a mistake and it shows up. And it looks like it moved. No, it didn't. Okay. All right, and then I need, I'm going to put a little ribbon here, but I'm going to glue this on this one first. Okay, so and this just nests just a little bit bigger. So this pool party piece is, oh, I forgot the leaves. It's 2 7/8 by 4 3/8. And I need to find the little leaves. And I need to find my pool party. There we go. So I want these little leaves. And again, they're just gonna be in between all the flowers. And then, oh, I forgot. I wanted to stamp this on this one, and I forgot. And I'm not sure that it'll show up because it's already been put on dimensionals. That's okay. Okay, so next is my ribbon, and I need about 11 inches. Even if you have a card that's landscape instead of portrait, I think you could still do a little ribbon. Don't like the look of that. Let's do this the way I normally do. There we go. And then I'll just trim it. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to add it. I'm going to do dimensionals for the back of this and pop it up on my die cut piece in basic white. And I'll have this all on my blog. So you'll have all the measurements and the order in which I placed things. and I'll have it up and sent out this week. So if you're interested in getting instructions from my blog, I usually send out a couple a week. I do sometimes get delayed, but rest assured it will come out. So this is basic white, and this was an 11 by 4 1/4 piece of cardstock. And that way it opens this way. Okay, so I'm going to add this with glue dots because I don't really want the glue dots to show through. So it's just a good idea to put it under where your cardstock's going to be. And I'm going to do 5 of them. So you can see I've got 5 glue dots here. There you go. Oh, thank you, Linda. Okay, and then we can just glue this down to the vellum. And the last thing we need to do is die cut the sentiment. Let's just push this over just a little bit so it's even and level. And be back in a moment. Oops. All right, so I can put my little happy birthday right here. We'll add the happy birthday with some mini dimensionals because this is a pretty small die. And then the last thing will be, I'm just going to overlap this just a little bit. So now is the bumblebees. So these little tiny bee trinkets, they're so cute. The best way to apply them is to get however many glue dots out that you want to put bees on your card. So I have 3 glue dots here, and I'm just going to adhere them to the glue dots. Now the glue dots are slightly bigger than the bee, but by the time I pick it up, the glue dot gets a little smaller and it kind of just stays under. Excuse me. Isn't that beautiful? So just a little different than my last card, and let's find it here. Oh, it's here somewhere. But we're doing it landscape instead of portrait. All right, well, that's all I have for you today. And if you want to learn how to do these really beautiful ones, these beautiful flowers, 3D flowers, be sure to check out my Friday video with the same suite. So it's going to be the same Floral Delights Suite Collection. And you've got all these different cards, and each one is beautiful. Oh, I was going to do the envelope. I apologize. I totally forgot about the envelope. All right, let's put these aside. So what I'm doing with the envelope is there is another flower that's shown here, and all I'm doing is adding the leaf and the flower. So you can do 1 or 2 however many you want. And I'm only going to use the petal pink. Okay, so this one, I need to stamp a little bit off for the flower. Okay, so the first step again is I'm doing the flower detail. Okay, and then I come back and I stamp, and making sure that I've got it in the same order. Okay, I've got my ink. I'm going to stamp it off, and then I can line up my flower with the and there we go. And now I've got an envelope to go with my card. Okay. All right, that's it. And if you're watching later on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Share with a friend. And again, if you're interested in getting the details from my blog, be sure to go to wildvioletsart.com and subscribe to my blog there. I know that Facebook now every 90 days is cleaning house and deleting all my videos, my Facebook Lives. But every time I do a Facebook Live, usually that same night, I'll upload it to my YouTube video or YouTube channel, which is also Wild Violets Art. And you can subscribe to YouTube as well. But if you want the written instructions, be sure to subscribe to my blog. There's lots of other information there. So have a great evening, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks so much for joining me. Again, it's Angela with Wild Violets Art.